The voting is now complete. Everyone chose their favorite. Everyone threw a few dollars in the bucket. We're all feeling good? All right. So now I have the privilege of welcoming my good friend Jason Grullon to the stage. Jason is the co-founder of the ethical fashion brand Virtue Rocks. It's an ethical fashion platform, Del Cayo. He is a social entrepreneur bred in the Dominican Republic and a former consultant for international development agencies like UNICEF and the UNDP. After his master's degree in law and business in 2015, he decided to co-create Virtue in order to help bring fairness and innovation to the production of garments around the world, starting with his home country. He is in charge of corporate vision, social development, and market disruption. So now, I'm proud to welcome Jason Grullon to the stage. Good luck.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you for that one. I was missing it. Guys, I just want to take a second and tell you how exciting this is. I mean, seeing a whole community stepping out of their comfort zones on a Saturday night and coming to support social entrepreneurship is such a beautiful thing for me. So I want to first stop before my keynote and give a round of applause to all of you. You're absolutely amazing, and it's incredible the work that Assets is doing. So thank you so much for inviting me to consider doing this. I couldn't have imagined that this was going to be an eye-opening experience when Jonathan invited me. I met him actually in the Dominican Republic in one of our production sites. And when we started talking and when he started saying about the work that they are doing and that you guys are doing here on social entrepreneurship, I was extremely motivated to come here. And I wanted even to come to Lancaster because of that. So you can go ahead and imagine how much into social entrepreneurship I am. So as Jonathan said, I'm actually a social entrepreneur, a 28-year-old social entrepreneur. I studied law, and I'm here standing in front of you because 3.5 years ago, I wasn't very far from the stage that the people that did the pitches before were. I was just starting to think about social entrepreneurship, starting to build the ground base for my company, and now I'm here 3 years afterwards, and I want to tell you how I passed from being a lawyer that was tired and lacked motivation because I knew there had to be more in life than writing contracts, pushing papers, and making rich people richer. So I want to walk you through that, and I want to walk you through that through what I call the stages of entrepreneurship. So, an ideal entrepreneurial venture would, in my understanding, have 3 stages. It's actually when you have the idea, when you realize that you can actually make that idea happen, and when you decide to go ahead and make the idea a reality. And a lot of the cases, like in mine, those stages were very far apart. And my vision tonight and my hope tonight is that I can help some of you and motivate some of you to bridge and jump from one stage to the other because this is a beautiful experience. Thank you. The first time I heard about social entrepreneurship was actually when I read this book, Let My People Go Surfing from Yvon Chouinard. He's the founder of Patagonia. And even if you don't like Patagonia or you don't like him, this is still a very emotional book that motivated a lot of social entrepreneurs to actually take the jump start and understand that you can actually make business and make good at the same time. It's not contrary, as you all know. I remember when I read this book so clearly and every word of it, because it was a very emotional time. I remember that I was in a bus from Santo Domingo, the place where I grew up, to the Jabón, in the Dominican-Haitian border, because I was going to say the final goodbye to my grandfather. He just passed away at that moment, and I flew in from the U.S. I can remember like yesterday, and I had that book. So in the emotional time, I didn't want to think about it, so I started reading this book. And right when I was about to get to the Jabón, it doesn't look far because, as you maybe know, the Dominican Republic is a small town, and I actually just found out that there is a lot of Dominicans here in Lancaster. This is very far away. It's like 6-7 hours in the road. So I go ahead and finish the book just before going into this little border town. And that's when I had my aha moment. That's where the idea came to mind. And I go and when those moments happen, you need to write it down, right? So I go and try to find a place to scratch it, and I don't have a pen, so I get my wallet out and I get a little business card that I still keep around, and I ask for a pen from the passenger that was beside me, and I write this. I want to make a company that connects end consumer products that are produced in local poor communities in the Dominican Republic or similar places, and connected to buyers that can actually purchase that type of products in developed economies like the U.S. and Europe. And that was it. And then I had my idea. So you can figure out that when I got out of that bus, I stepped out, I dealt with my family, dealt with the grief of my family, and immediately when I got back home, I completely forgot about that idea. I never touched that business card again. I never did. I mean, life gets ahead of you. Yeah, I never, ever touched that business card again until many years later. In that process, until I actually ended up being a social entrepreneur, I worked in some of my country's biggest or most important development organizations. I worked at UNICEF, at UNDP, because I knew I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't know that it was through entrepreneurship. After that process and after some years, I knew that that wasn't enough. So I went ahead and did it and moved to Germany to do my master's studies, to do my postgraduate studies. And this is when I realized that I could actually make this idea happen. And it's because we go with my master's. I was studying in the northern part of Berlin, in Hamburg, and we go to Berlin, of Germany, in Hamburg, and we go to Berlin in a study trip, and we start visiting startups. And we visited like 7 startups, and it was a cold November day in Berlin, and winters can be very bad in Germany, so you can go and imagine. But I was still very curious and extremely excited about the day because I never met people working in startups because, I only heard the fuss about how they were changing the world, how they were making things happening, and I started to search for commonalities. So, what's the common point, and how can I imitate this common point, even though I'm a lawyer, to actually make things happen and start moving things in my life. So this is very important. I found out what was the common point. The similar thing that all of the companies had is that they actually didn't have anything in common. There wasn't anything that I could say, okay, these entrepreneurs, they all study business. No. Or they are all prepared, or they have motivation, or they're all Europeans. No, there was people from all backgrounds, business people, lawyers, even a former plumber was within the founders of a company. So I said, Jesus Christ, so if they can make it, if they can make it, all these people can make it, regular Joes and Janes, I can make it too. That's it. I was like, if they can do it, I can do it, right? So that's when I said, okay, I can do it. So I have the motivation, and we have to contextualize. It was 2015, and I didn't know anything about startups, right? But I had the motivation, and I had the idea, but I didn't have any of the knowledge. What I did have, and that's the most important thing, is that I have a problem to solve. I had a problem to solve that I still keep, and what I wanted to do is to improve livelihoods through the production and retail of consumer goods. That was my key thing, and that was very clear in my head. How I would do it, that was not clear at all. So it could have been perfectly, we ended up doing fashion, but it could have perfectly been forks or knives or cups. We just wanted to, or me and my idea, I just wanted to improve livelihoods through the production and retail of consumer goods. When I decided that, I completely scratched my whole life. I decided that I didn't want to write my thesis that I have submitted already to my master, to the people in my master's, because I wanted to do something completely different. I remember I was doing it about the Article 168 of the Convention of No One Cares. You know that? that kind of thing that 99% of the people don't mind about it. And I changed it to a title that was as little compromising as possible. They asked me for a title, so I said, okay, so social businesses connecting people. That's it. That was my business title, and that's when we started to looking for a solution to this problem, right? So we started to look for an industry. We started to look for partners, and I said I wanted two things out of the products that we made. I wanted to make them, of course, in the Dominican Republic because that's where I grew up. That's where my parents are from, even though I was born in the U.S. And I wanted the products to have a large margin so they could sustain a bigger production cost because of the social impact. And we wanted products that normally require a big investment in marketing because we wanted to exchange that investment in the business model for a smarter mouth-to-mouth type of marketing because of the social impact. And that's exactly what we did. We found that the fashion industry, looking for industry, for how wrong the fashion industry was. We found out that it was normally related to low and unfair wages, workforce dissatisfaction, unnecessary low margins, high overhead and marketing costs, non-added value related to the production model, and lack of innovation in their business model. So we said, okay, this is the industry where we want to work because everyone needs clothing, right? So we figured this is the type of companies that we want to have. We didn't want it to do it about fashion, but we wanted the products to actually be a vehicle of that social good that we were making. And this is where we created our first company. Because now we are a team. By this moment, we are a team. I partnered up with a French-German entrepreneur, and we co-created Virtue, which is a Berlin-born lifestyle brand that seeks to disrupt the production, delivery, and pricing by providing a high-quality and fairly priced garment. It sounded very pretty. We didn't know what we were getting into. But we did know what the type of product that we wanted, so that made things very easy, and it made it even easier that we were still very much sticking to the problem. So we made a product, which is actually the shirt that I'm wearing, and we have it right here. We made a beautiful product, ended up being beautiful, that shows the person that produces it, so the consumers can actually connect with the production site, and with the name of the production. You can go into the webpage. You could go into the webpage right now, or actually no, pay attention to me, and then you can go. I'll put it back in here. So you can go into the webpage, see the person, see their story, see a little video in a lot of the cases. So we made it about the people behind the production. And here it explains our business model, which is a 50-50 business model in which people make 3 times the minimum wage living of the Dominican Republic. So making actually a living wage, a decent living wage. We were extremely proud of that. We still are, and this company is still running nowadays, producing in Dominican Republic, Bolivia, and now most recently Haiti. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a huge struggle. It's been a huge struggle to take things here, and it also has required that we understand our limitations, and that's why I'm no longer running the company. We hire a person that has a fashion background because the problem is bigger than us. So that's why I'm not running the company anymore. I'm more of an advisor, and I keep moving things, and I'm now involved in other ventures that I'm gonna talk to you about right now. With this company that we founded, we've had a lot of luck because that's also a part of it. I mean, you have to be honest. As an entrepreneur, you have to work hard, but the moment has to be right. And the moment was right because right when we started the company, we did a Kickstarter campaign and sold more than 1,000 shirts. That sounds very good, but when you go from not producing shirts to having to produce thousands of shirts, there are some challenges there. So we almost died by our success, and that's the first thing I want to talk to you, some of the entrepreneurs in the room here, is that planning is key, and knowing your capacities is also very much a key part of your success. It's not only selling; you actually have to be prepared for yourselves and for your success. And throughout this process, we also gather a lot of customers. The social impact that we were making opened a lot of doors, because even though for Lancaster, social enterprises are a normal thing, in most of the world, back in 2015, this was a rather innovative approach. So making this open a lot of doors. So we are actually not only the core of our company social, but this is what keeps the company going. It was never about the shirts. The shirts are very normal looking. They're nice. They're organic. They are okay, but it was always about what the shirt carries. And we wanted that to happen from the beginning. We wanted the social impact to carry the company, and the company to carry the social impact. So they grew, both of them grew together, as Jonathan was saying before. So we had a lot of learnings, but I want to talk to the entrepreneurs in the room about 3 of them that were the key ones. Scaling a company, not only a fashion brand, is very expensive. So being prepared and having a normal cash flow is key for actually making that happen. Respect the cash flow, because that's what actually can put you down. Exposure is every day more and more expensive, so sticking to the problem that you believe in and sticking to a niche that can actually build and help building your company and building a consumer base, it's very important. So please do that. Don't lose the core of the companies that you presented to us today. They're all amazing. And being social is not only something that makes you feel good, but that is also going to make your customer feel good. And the logistics for producers, and this is particularly to fashion, and we have a fashion enterprise here, this is the biggest nightmare. And what you guys are doing is exactly connecting those producers that are doing beautiful impact in their home countries with the consumers that can buy it. So this is exactly the type of innovation that we want to foster, and I congratulate you because of that. And this is also what we want to be doing. So seeing all these problems that not only us as entrepreneurs have, we sat back down in the table and said, okay, how can we solve now the deeper problem that is connected to our higher overarching issue? And this is when we had the idea of connecting conscious consumers with ethical fashion brands through a marketplace called Del Cayo. It's a marketplace for fashion with powerful impact. And now we work with companies across Latin America that produce under ethical conditions, and we connect them to retailers in Europe, and progressively now more and more to the US. So this is the type of impact that we are fostering now, very similar to what you guys are doing. So what's next, right? So there is always a challenge. Our challenge is to make our production line for both Virtu and helping other companies across the communities that we help in Latin America become more sustainable, become even fairer, sourced locally, in order to have only one line of export, not importing from India, then producing in the Dominican Republic, then shipping out to the US, but actually using your local sources in order to export. We want to start reconditioning, recycling, and upcycling fabric, because it doesn't matter how sustainable our products are. If we don't start recycling all of these garments that we have, we're going to end up first with too much trash, as we do have right now, and we're never going to be actually sustainable as brands. So this is something that we're working more and more, and we can talk about it afterwards if you like. We're bringing back all items for a percentage so we can recycle them, and we want to purchase, every time that we purchase a garment, start this process with a smart geolocating process. Overall, we want to be better corporate citizenship. We want to be a part of the community. We want to make social enterprise about the communities, and being here actually inspires me even more to do it. And the other thing that's next, well, you tell me. I'm going to be around for a couple of hours after the show, after the competition finish, and I would love to hear about what you think. You are an amazing town that has already how many B Corps? 14? 17 B Corps. Oh my God. So I want to know what you want, what you would like to see from social entrepreneurs, how we can connect, and how you would like to connect with social entrepreneurs from Latin America, which is what we normally represent. Thank you very much, Lancaster. Thank you. See you later. Thank you.
Take that. All right. The time has come. Are we ready for this? Yeah. All right, so I want to welcome the judges out onto the stage.
The participants
First, the participants out onto the stage. So come on up. And the judges. Yeah.
So one more thing before we announce the winners tonight. We are really excited, as I said, to be celebrating our 25th birthday. And so we are actually going to be doing that for a little while here, from now until May of 2019. So we have 25 different events or activities that we're going to be doing to celebrate our 25th year. And in your programs, there's a little insert that talks about some of those. And I just want to highlight one of them. It's on the screen. It's an evening with Father Greg Boyle, and it's going to be happening on Saturday, November the 10th. So this is an evening that we are partnering with the Parish Resource Center to bring Father Boyle to town, and we're really excited about this. He is the founder of Homeboy Industries. He's a Catholic priest. He's a New York Times best-selling author. And he is quite literally the father of the social enterprise movement. So he has really started to help this movement in our country. So he is super inspiring, and it's going to be a great night. So what I want you to do is pull out your insert. There's a website on there that shows all of the 25. I think it's Celebrate 25 on our website. So pull that out and keep your phone handy. And then after we announce the winners,